welcome speech or greetings will be provided by Mrs. Tiina Vihma Purovara from Ministry of Education.
Thanks. Hello, good morning all. Thank you for this kind invitation to the CEREC Forum. In the Ministry we have had a very active, stressing, but laughing spring, because there's so much stress so that we can hear all kinds of laughters from different rooms, because it must be kind of coming out somewhere. Big national reforms are taking place in higher education and research. For example, in higher education sector, we have allocation for the shortening of the application waiting lines, so that more students can be taken in to polytechnics and universities this year and next year. So there will be 3,000 new study places. It's a huge, massive thing also for the higher education institutions. The other big change will be the joint application calls for both sectors, for universities and polytechnics. And on the research side, I think that the biggest issue now is the new law for the Academy of Finland, taking into account the changes needed for the the establishment of the Council for Strategic Research. The law should be in force already as of July this year. So there are many legislative changes taking place. Well, at the same time, we have been rethinking of the higher education and research, the internationalization of higher education and research. As you might remember, the internationalization strategy of higher education was published in 2009. There were 5 main targets in the strategy, aiming towards high quality and attractiveness of higher education and research in Finland, a genuinely multicultural higher education community, and of course society, and global responsibility and export of knowledge. So a lot of work has been done towards these aims, but we can see that the world has changed drastically in the few years, and we need to rethink this internationalization from a more open and global perspective. At the same time, putting more efforts into this multiculturalism in Finland, making Finland so international that it is the way of life and a normal weekly approach, so that we don't have to talk about it anymore. But there's a long way to that. We can see it. We can see it in our society. So this is something that we are now actively doing work with. And this is also why we have sent a questionnaire to all rectors of universities and polytechnics. And we are more than willing to discuss the visions and needs of the higher education institutions on their internationalization efforts. So we are now looking forward to all responses to be able to contribute to the future orientations of the new government program and the development plan for education and research of the next government. So that it's very important that we have these discussions with our higher education institutions, with the Academy of Finland, with CIMO, with other actors. So, and also, of course, with enterprises, with all industrial sectors, with regions. Because now it's something that we have to concentrate on the whole society, actually. So what we have been doing concerning your interests in the last few years. Chinese-Finnish education and research cooperation has been and will certainly be one on the high agenda in our ministry. You know that Mika Tironen has been working in Beijing in our embassy and as a higher education and science counselor, almost 2 years now. And he's the most important idea and the kind of background for his work is to help the joint efforts of higher education institutions in education and in research with their Chinese counterparts. So on the other hand, we have been then working towards strengthening cooperation between the ministries of education in both countries. And just now, our minister has on her board this, the document to be signed for her part of the minutes of the meetings of last November when she visited Beijing and met Vice Minister Du Yubo, who has already signed the document. So in the document, both sides are committed to strengthen the cooperation on all levels of education and develop a mechanism for information sharing. We are really happy because of this development. It's important that we have collaboration on all levels, and on this ministerial level, it's also very important to have this kind of collaboration. Also, on the national level, we have been pleased to see the commitment and interest of large educational community towards the initiative with the working title, which is now called the Learning Factory. It's not a good name, we have to rethink it, but it's the kind of umbrella for education institutions, for research, for companies to come together to work towards this collaboration. So it's also a good platform for policy dialogue, so that because then we have all the stakeholders there. It's good platform for joint planning and joint research and development of modern learning solutions. So there could be schools, academia, national research funding bodies, shocks as companies and authorities to join their efforts to create modern learning solutions and education and school management, administration, whatever. So what is actually the main point here is that in the ministry we have been a bit worried about the scattering and fragmentation of the resources of a small country as Finland when cooperating with a huge and active nation as China is today, with Vice Rector Melin just mentioned. I'm so happy to see so many experts on China cooperation here today who can really work together formulating the messages you want to bring to us jointly on the new possibilities for cooperation that should be taken into account when we are writing the future orientations for China cooperation, but also when negotiating the next steps with our colleagues from the Ministry of Education of China, and when thinking about the new visions that you want to have in the government program, in the development plan for higher education. For education and research. So all input is very important, and I'm here for for the morning session, but I would be more than pleased to receive your messages, to really get your input to our processes. Thank you very much.